moving to the next stage of the ECU wiring, and I'm starting by wiring up to the plug that came off the original Jaguar ECU. It's this one that enables me to plug in to the engine harness without modifying the engine harness at all. So I'm starting to wire up some wires, and there's quite a lot of them, I have to say. Oh, there's a 60 pin plug. Now there are quite a few pins not used, but there's still, I think, 42 individual strands that need to go from here to the other plug that's on the new ECU from Motorsport Electronics. So I've started wiring them up, and yeah, it's looking quite good actually, but there's loads more to do. I'm just going to zoom you in some more. Alright, so this is 1mm square thin wall, so-called thin wall cable, so there's a lot less insulation on this compared to its copper than you might get in other cases. So I've tinned some of the pins on the back of this, so I shall do some more of those. I'm using quite a pointy soldering iron. Tinning just means pre-soldering the ends basically. As you can see, I can do those relatively quickly. I've got a bit of a blob going on there, so I can remove that by doing that. But the pin is still tinned. Okay, I'm starting with number 12 at this end and working back down my list. My list is on the computer screen up there. The first one that's not used is actually pin number 9. So 12, 11. I think I'm going to tin the end of the wire as well as the pins. And the important thing, of course, is not to get a solder bridge between two pins. So I'm going to make sure each of these wires goes in on the same side of the pin as the one next to it. That's the best way to avoid or maximise the gap between two pins. Yeah, I think that's okay. Alright, so I've got 12, 11, 10, 9, so I've got one more to do, then there's a skip. So I'm going to strip the wire off. This could take some time. The wire certainly gets hot more quickly than the normal thickness insulation. This is thin wall cabling. Right, so 12, 11, 10, 9. And the next one, 8. So I'll skip one. Right, I've put on about 12 wires, I think it is. Starting to get a bit congested, isn't it? But I've never run out of wire, so I need to get some more delivered. And I can do the rest, but I think hopefully that you can see the principle. So here is my Motorsport Electronics ME360 ECU, and I need to wire it up. So as I've kind of explained before, the approach that I've taken to wiring the engine to the new ECU is to make a short conversion cable like this. So this plug here is actually from the original Jaguar Ford ECU, and it was actually cut off the ECU with a slitting disc, and I've wired up, as you might have seen on a preview photograph on the community channel. I've cut the plug off, leaving lots of sort of stumps where the connections went into the back on the original Jaguar, which are ideal for soldering onto, which is what all these wires are. So that means that this end of it plugs into the engine harness, which is unmodified. So the engine harness plugs in right here. So here, as far as the engine harness is concerned, is a Jaguar ECU. Right, now back in the garage, looking at the engine harness, this is the plug that we've been looking at the other half of, if you like. But it now appears, having studied the wiring diagrams in more detail, that these two plugs are likely the ones that are, if you like, missing, in as much as powering, providing electrical power to the whole system isn't coming via another one of these plugs. But the point is that these two plugs are required. They are Molex plugs, and they plugged into the car relay box, or stroke fuse box with lots of relays in it, and that's what these two plugs are. So what I need to do, in addition to wiring up the big plug here, is to wire up these two plugs as well. So yeah, slightly more complicated than I'd hoped, I suppose, because we're wiring up 3 plugs onto the harness rather than just one. But I think we're going to carry on that basis. So what's the other thing that's emerged? The question that has emerged regarding this thing being the throttle body. And there's a cylindrical shape which is the motor, and there's a big square bit under there which has probably got some sort of circuit board in it, and over here we have a throttle position sensor. So there's quite a few pins there that need to be sorted out. The throttle position sensor, not a problem, but there is quite a lot of pins on this, 12 in fact. Now it looks like only some of those are used, and in particular it looks like there's 3 pins that may be responsible for the control aspect of the connecting to the throttle and so on. So that's what I'm working on at this moment. What else can I say? I have actually fitted I'm looking around for a torch. Here we go. Here's a torch. I have actually fitted a throttle pedal. Let me show you that. Now, funnily enough, it's not a Jaguar one. I chose one actually from an Audi. Why did I choose that? It's because the pedal itself made of metal, and I wanted to be able to change its shape, which I have done, shortening it, moving it and so on, which you couldn't do if it was plastic. So anyway, it's actually bolted in the car, which I'll see if I can show you. There's a bit of a mess down here in the in the footwell. So I can just move my dangling fuse boxes out of the way. There we have a full set of pedals, with the throttle pedal of course on the right, and that is the Audi A3, A4 I believe pedal, which is just about right. I did some bracketry up here to fix it onto the footwell, and there we are. Now if it turns out to be not quite right from a comfort point of view, I can cut this metal section and re-weld it again. I think that's probably the easiest way. It's already been modified, so I just modify it a bit further. But I also have the plug and these wires here, the 6 of them, and that will in due course go over to where the ECU is, which will be behind the dashboard over here. So that's the plan, and it's kind of getting there, but there is some uncertainty yet to be sorted out. If you got as far as this, thanks very much for watching, and in case you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be really encouraging for me. So catch you on the next one.